probably been a while since you guys have had 3 practices in a week. Has the extra time in the gym been productive, especially with the new guys, or sorry, especially with the guys coming back?
Yeah, I mean, there's always some. It's a funny thing. You're always trying to make some tweaks and additions to things you're doing, but then every now and then you got to go back and get back to the basics and remember some of our starting points on some things too. So we've been able to do both of those things. Yeah, it's been good.
There's not been a lot of losing streaks over the course of this Raptors season. What's the key to thwarting those and making each game extremely difficult?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to have some toughness, to bounce back, both mentally and then get your rest and treatments and all those things physically to make sure you're right. But I think it's a competitiveness thing that I think we got some real competitive guys that play to win, and that's probably the biggest thing. They don't like losing. They don't like the feeling you have when you go in that locker room and it's in a loss, and dealing with all the things that come with it. So they go out and fight a little bit harder sometimes.
And then Philly on the same side, obviously with what happened here, human nature's they're going to be up for it a little bit more maybe. And how do you match that, or how do you kind of gear up for that?
Well, I think we need I think we need to understand that we're going into a team that plays really hard with a little bit of extra burst at home. Obviously, they'll have the whoever loses the last game usually fights a little harder thing in their head, right? It's like in the playoffs, right? Um, but I think a big thing for us is just to go out there and try to match their energy, right? And find the guys that are ready to do that, and try to do it over the course of the game, and just try to play our best.
Does the prep change when you know a team as well as Philly?
Um, well, it's always interesting to kind of think back of your game plan from last time, right? And you think, boy, a lot of stuff really worked well, and you think, can it continue to work? Is it going to continue to work so well? And they maybe know some of the stuff's coming a little bit more since they've seen it, and that's kind of the battle you're in. That's the battle I'm always in all the time. I'm thinking, geez, they know we're going to do this. We've been doing it now for and they're gonna find something to beat it, and then you got to decide how. Again, I roll the dice a lot. See how much I'm going to roll the dice, on the coverages.
When you look at the series last year, the one game that Joel Embiid did really explode,
The airplane game?
the airplane game. What stood out about you? I mean, you've had so many examples of being able to kind of hold him down, stifle him a little bit. What stood out about you about the game where you really?
Well, he did everything, right? I think when he's when he gets rolling, he's making the trail three. He's getting the roll hard downhill and saying, "Anybody want to stand in my way?" He's hitting the post. He's getting this, getting to the quick spin moves. He gets on the glass a little bit. He gets some deep catches. He does all those things that you see him do, and he did them all that night. That's for sure, and then some.
And I know it was a long time ago. Was that a case of him just being better than your coverages, or did you have to readjust and go back to what was working
What was that a case of? Certainly, it was better than our coverages, or the coverages weren't right. Right, I'm not. That's probably more the case. We didn't have a good enough game plan in. Probably momentum on the road. Crowd got going crazy. The energy, just a little bit of one of those games where the intensity rose to a super high level for one side team, and we could never really stop all the bleeding.
Are you a law of averages type guy?
Well, I believe in life there is balance, Michael. I guess so, maybe.
Speaking of defensive game plans, you said when you'd look at the video, maybe you'd have some more conclusions about what you guys did against Houston.
Yep.
What are said conclusions?
Well, gosh, it was really good. Now that I look back on it, I wasn't quite sure after the game if I was glad I did it or not, but I'm 100% glad I did it now. I think we really learned a lot. It gives us another interesting thing to do. I was all over the offense the other night after the post game, and it felt bad. And I shouldn't comment like that probably until I watch the film, because the offense we were wide open all night long, and we had .27 points per possession on corner three. That's almost impossible to do. You know, you're creating all those wide open corner threes, and you end up with 3 points out of them. You know, make one for the night, and that's the part I think that probably again, if we just would have scored it a little better, we probably would have been able to get it set up a little bit more, because I thought they were having problems with it. And the other thing that I found really incredible, we had 41 deflections in it, and that is a humongous number. And the only problem with that is we deflected it into 12 points. A couple times we batted it around, we had it, and they ended up with it banging a three, and it's just like, some nights the ball just wasn't bouncing right, and that's what do you blame the loss on? I'm blaming it on the ball wasn't bouncing right the other night, and that just happens sometimes.
Are you happy with how open your guys have been this year, last year, about trying new things and experimenting?
I thought you meant open shots.
No.
Open-minded.
Open-minded. And in your experience,
Yes.
like, is that unusual? Do players that you've coached in the
Well-
past at different levels have maybe a harder time accepting the idea of doing something, trying something new?
We're extremely happy, Josh. I think that you got a group of guys here that are willing to take the coaching, and it's not without their questioning of why are we doing it, right? And I think that's totally fair. I mean, I want them to understand why we're doing it, and if they don't know, then they need to ask, and they do. And I think there's a good. And then there's times where they'll say, hey, no, not that rotation. Let's do this one. We feel, and I'd say, sure, as long as you two guys are going to communicate it out, I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. But you got to communicate it. When it doesn't work is when we fail to communicate and two guys go to the same guy or something, and we miss a rotation. So yeah, I think it's great, and I think that's I give them credit for their open-mindedness. I give them credit for kind of letting that build up. Right, and coming along with us on this riverboat, we're going a little bit.
You kind of mentioned kind of getting back to basics here with all these practices. In regards to like all the defensive schemes and coverages you've shown out, are there like kind of baseline things or just like certain concepts that kind of carry across each coverage that you kind of experiment with?
Yeah. So we still have some kind of foundational principles that we like to do, and I'll tell you one of them we worked on today. I don't know if you guys probably noticed this or not, but one of the things we like to do is getting back to get our defense set and to get all four of the five guys showing length. The four guys that aren't guarding the ball, they get in their stance, they get their wings out, and they spread the length, and it just gets us ready. It makes the lane look a little closed, whatever. And you guys probably remember seeing these possessions when teams come down and you see all of our guys down, and you're like, man, that looks really cool, right? And we're doing that, just not quite as high a level as we want. It doesn't really have. I mean, play hasn't even really started yet, but I think it's kind of our indication that we're back and we're ready to go. And so we worked on some of that today. That's about as basic as it gets, right? Getting back and getting in our stance.
I think obviously you've got a lot of versatility defensively, but to change all these schemes and to do it on the fly, how important is it to have a guy like Mark that is so malleable in the back line to do that?
Yeah, I mean, he's great, and he can do a lot of things. Not only can he do it in the back line, he can do it in the front line when he's the guy out there blitzing. He's a great blitzer, and he can read them. He can keep people in front. He can get his hands on the ball. He can bluff it and get back out of it when he doesn't think it's necessary, kind of on his own up there. I mean, he's super smart, man. He's super smart. I can't imagine a much better defensive center in the league. I can't.
Does this point in the season, the quarter pole, 2021 games, does that mean anything to you guys? Do you know who you guys are at this point? It's usually
Yeah, I mean, I always say it's, I keep saying it was too early to look at the numbers, and I've been using that a little too long. So 20-25 games, I think, usually gets you into a sense of who you are and who you can be, right? And we got to be. I think we got to be really happy with where we are at this point. Just because I think we've looked at some players. I think we've played some really good basketball. We've played hard. I think most nights, you can't argue with the effort And I think we've built a deeper team in this stretch, all kinds of things that I think are positives going forward. And now you got to kind of settle in and play the season out and get back to not overreacting to anything. You don't overreact because you're 15-4, and don't overreact because you're now 15-6. Just get back and going to work and taking them as you come, knowing you're probably gonna win quite a few games if you put the effort forward, right? And you're gonna slip up every now and then because that's basketball.
Just speaking of depth, we saw Patrick and Stanley doing a little bit. I mean, is there an update on either of those guys?
We did. Patrick's here.
Well, I thought I saw him, maybe.
I don't think Patrick's in the building today,
Okay.
but Patrick has actually been cleared. Good spot, or good thought anyway. He has been cleared. The reason he isn't here is he went to get this clearance today, and he's meeting us in Philly. But he's been cleared for contact in practice. I don't know what that means. I think that probably puts him on the sheet at least as a questionable, and we'll see how fast we can get him to the court. I mean, he's cleared for practice. I don't know when the next practice is, like Wednesday. So, he's still got some days if he needs a practice before he can play.
Stanley's just starting basic stuff now, I guess. Right.
Stanley's just working on his game, man. Oh, Stanley. Sorry, I thought you meant Rondé. Stanley's still a little bit away. I'm sorry. I was looking over when you pointed over there. Rondé's still over there, working on his game. Yeah, Stanley's still a little bit away, but getting closer. Yep.